For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. I love that introduction. It's Valentine's Day coming up, and I'm Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Is love in the air, though? Is it? It's Valentine's Day. Now, it could go one of two ways, right? If you're in a relationship, you feel that pressure to show your partner that you love them, but if you're single, you're probably dreading social media with all those obnoxious posts of the couples just professing their love for each other. So we're going to have a lighthearted discussion about that today on The Scribble, and it starts right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Oh, love is in the air, isn't it? Isn't it, folks? Valentine's Day is here. Okay, let me be upfront here. I'm married, so I'm not some bitter single. Let me put that out front, because the people will go and say, "Oh my God, no, he's so bitter that nobody's married him," and whatever. No, fuck off. Just to remind you, I've got a hot Brazilian fitness model husband with whom I have lived for 8.5 years. Almost 9 years. Anyway, so certainly I'm not one of these people who just resents Valentine's Day and is kind of like, oh, it's just another, what do they call it? Singles Awareness Day or single whatever. Here's the thing. It's very weird to me that, especially now with social media, that everybody does these big declaring, oh, I love you. Yeah. Doesn't it stand to reason that if you're in a relationship and you're still together after those time, I mean, I guess you could argue and say, well, not necessarily that you love each other. Maybe you're staying together for the kids or whatever. Well, then don't lie about it. But I've never understood the whole big, like, glowing, I love you more and more each day. You complete me. You are my world. I can't live without you. But here's the deal, though. At some point, you're going to have to live without them. One of you is going to die. So, not to be morbid, not to be a downer here, but, you know. And so, it's very strange to me, because I've always said, like, why don't you just tell your partner that? Why does it have to be a big declaration on social media for everybody? And then we always see the pictures of the gifts. And so I always comment something like, remember to show the gifts that he felt obligated to buy you today. Because, you know, if he's bringing you flowers on a regular random Wednesday morning, okay, fine. Or on a random Thursday afternoon, he's showing up at your work with roses and taking you out for lunch. Okay, I want to know about that. But the shit that he's giving you on Valentine's Day because he has to, or else you're never going to speak to him, or you're not going to you're not going to do what he likes you to do. If that's the only reason that he's buying you the shit, then don't show us. Don't, because at that point, and I'm also the same type of person where I'm kind of like, I'm going to be pissed if my guy is spending $50 on flowers on Valentine's Day when we could actually be doing something worthwhile. And we've got a lot of money, so I'm not saying that he's wasting money and we need that money, but I'm just saying, like, there's other things that we could be having more fun with. Right? Like, something that's going to die in a few days, you're just going to throw in the garbage. Why? That's just so stupid. I don't know. There's just tons of, they just had asked in my ear, well, what would he use that money for? I don't even know. It could be anything. But let's do something that's going to be meaningful. Let's I don't know, buy something for the dogs. Let's you can't really take a vacation on $50, but I mean, there's just other things that could give you more of a moment, right? I'm about the moments. I'm not about the things. So it could be, I mean, maybe, I don't know, how much is it to go to a movie now? Like, I'm just thinking, right? Like, you could have done other things that you'll have a memory of. The very first time that we spent Christmas together, we went to, it's not the Children's Museum. I guess it's called is it the Science Museum? What is it called, you guys? When I was growing up in school, it was called, tell me what it was, you guys. You know that I'm thinking it's beneath the planetarium. What was it called? Touch the Universe. Thank you. See, I work with a bunch of old people. It was called Touch the Universe in my hometown. And it was sort of like a science museum. I think it's called the Science Gallery now, but it was called Touch the Universe. And I loved going there as a kid because it was sort of, it was science. It was different. It was optical illusions. There was just how things float. It was a bunch of fun stuff. So when my husband, he wasn't my husband at the time, but when he came and we spent Christmas together, we just went and did a bunch of random stuff that was like childlike and just very, innocent. We were playing and it was just kind of fun. That's what you could spend your $50 on. Instead of flowers that are, okay, so they're going to sit in a vase on a table or in a corner of a room that I'm never going to look at. It's the same thing with our Christmas tree. Like when we go, like, what's the point of putting up the Christmas tree? We don't even look at it. It's behind us it's beside the couch that we sit on. Why? We don't even look at it. But the flowers that are going to die, like, what's the point? You could do something different. I don't know. And so I always laugh about the people who post the pictures, who do the big 3-paragraph declaration of love, because I also then wonder, how many people are even saying that to their partner in person? It's no different than when somebody has a kid and it's their birthday and it's like, oh, I love you, son, whatever. Is your kid even on social media, or is this just for show? Like, you're wanting other people to see how proud of your kid you are? Then say, I'm so proud of my kid. Talk to your audience then, but don't disguise it as, because if your kid is 8 or 10 or 13 years old, do you think they're following your Facebook page and like watching it? No, it's not. It's not. So Valentine's Day I've always found really funny because it's kind of like, why aren't you doing this stuff all year round? Like, my husband will get me flowers just randomly. And there's even sometimes a funnier story where he's like, I was at the gym. There's a grocery store right beside the gym. So I went in and I was kind of like, I got you flowers. It doesn't have to be romantic. Sometimes it's even just a funny story and go, And these were on clearance. They were going to be, they marked them down. They're going to be throwing them out. So, here's some flowers. Like, that's just kind of the cute relationship that we have. So I don't get the whole on Valentine's, we're going to make dinner reservations. We go for dinner all the time. Like, I don't know that, I think maybe just the world has changed in the sense that, people dine out more now than they used to back in the day, right? When we were growing up in our household, we really only had a family. There were my 2 older brothers and my parents. We would do it every other Friday because that was payday. I didn't realize it at the time. I just knew that on certain Fridays we went to, McDonald's or to a restaurant. I wasn't old enough. I didn't have a job. I didn't get it. But for my husband and myself, we dine out. We either order food or go to a restaurant 2 or 3 times. Like, we don't cook, so we go out all the time. So for us to go out on Valentine's Day, it's kind of like, well, it's really not any different. They might have the special Valentine's menu, which costs more. They might have the wine special, which is going to be the more expensive wine, but it's still not going to be cheaper than the cheap stuff. So we just don't do that. We never have. And like I said, it's not because we're short on cash. We got a shit ton of money. Don't worry about that. It's just like, it's also the same thing with Christmas. It's like, we're not going all out on gifts for each other, and because we also just do that we don't even really buy each other. Honestly, we just don't, because I don't know. It's not about cost cutting. It's not about saving. I'm the type of person where it's like, if I want something, I'll just go and buy it for myself. He's the same way. If he wants something he's got an entire gym in our basement. Like, we've got 2 properties, but we've got a very large house where if he wants to get something for his gym, he doesn't have to like wait for Christmas, or he's like, well, maybe Jeremy will get that for my birthday, whatever, because we just don't we don't do gifts. We just don't do that kind of stuff. Every day is the gift with him because he's the light of my life. I could live without him. It just makes me want to fucking gag. But it's the social media posts where it's on the anniversaries or on birthdays, especially Valentine's Day. People they're posing the photo, right? Like you're going to have the wine bottle or champagne, and then the flowers in the background or in the whatever, and then or the flower petals on the bed. Or I'm just like, oh my God, it's fucking obnoxious. Because your relationship is playing out for the benefit of other people. And that, I mean, this goes on to the bigger picture or the bigger story of like everybody has a platform now. Everybody's life seems to be a reality show that needs to play out online. So that if you have a fight, you've got to tell people. If you have this, then you got to tell people. If this happens, you got to tell people. And I've said before, we've had some really explosive fights to the point where early on in the relationship, he was thrown out of the house twice and literally standing outside in the cold, in the winter. But I wasn't all of a sudden going and rushing and posting on social media that he's an asshole, he's a jerk, I can't stand him. Or what people will also do is that cryptic post. Right? Do you know what I'm getting at? Where it's kind of like, I've let you do this to me way too often. I've let you. And so it's got people wondering, is he having trouble in his relationship? Is it a friend? Trouble at work? Like, who's it about? Oh my God, I don't have time for that. I think it just makes me feel like I've got am I on a different level than people that I just don't feel that, like, I don't care to read. Well, I do care to read it about people. I'm not going to lie. There's a few people that I have on Facebook where I'm kind of like, I want to know what dramatic things are happening in their life to make me feel just even better about mine. Maybe I'm a sick person that way. But there's a few people that I'm kind of like, I watch. If I just need a laugh or I need to pick me up, I'll tune in. But just to read a post, I'm not going to follow them every day religiously, to see what's happening in life. But the Valentine's thing is just, it's strange to me. It's weird. Because, like I said, it's very cliche to go and say, well, every day should be Valentine's Day, and every day they should show you that they love you. And the reality is people don't, because they're also just busy with their job or kids or whatever it is. So I get it. But if you make time for it, people always say, these sex experts will go and say, like, you got to schedule, you've got to make time for sex, you've got to do. I remember, I'm going to tell a story about somebody who works for me. I'm not going to name names, but she knows who she is. So now the guys are kind of like, whew, she knows who she is. I met her, I don't even know, a long time ago at another place. And how much can I tell without it completely identifying who the person is? Hold on, I gotta censor myself in the moment. How about this? How about we take a break? I'm going to collect my thoughts and figure out how I can relay the story, and I'll tell you on the Scribble right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
JB here, back on the Scribble. Let me pick up where I left off before that break, because I was just about to tell you a story about somebody who, if I tell too much, I'm going to identify her. And so I'm kind of like, all right, let me figure out how to do this. So I met her a while back. I was working, I had a contract to See, I thought I'd figured it out, but now I'm kind of like, ooh. Okay, a company had brought me in to produce something for them. Let me just say that. And I met her at that office. She was an employee there, but I was brought in as kind of like, oh, we've got this talented guy who, we know from the media, and we want him to do something for us. So I met her there, and I wasn't an employee. I was brought in every now and then to kind of do some PR stuff and to create some things for them. And so we hit it off because I was there one of the first things that I did was I had to help them with an event that they were doing. And so I met her there because she was involved with the planning of the event. And we hit it off. We were like thick as thieves that first night. The first afternoon when I met her, she kind of gave me the rundown as to what's happening. And then it was kind of like, all right, it's on. And so the next day was the event. So we do the event, we're having some wine, we have some laughs, we're like, best buds. And so then I kind of got to know her there. We weren't interacting with each other outside of that work bubble kind of a thing. So I didn't have her phone number. I didn't know. It's not like we were like texting buddies and we were getting together. So I would really only see her when I would go into that office. And so I had only seen her maybe 3 or 4 times. Now, of course, we met in a very, very social setting those first 2 times. But I remember coming in one morning because they were having me do something else for them. And she was sort of like bouncy and kind of like giddy and giggly. And I was like, what? And she mouthed something to me and I couldn't understand what she was saying. And because she was overdoing it. I can sort of lip read if, somebody's just sort of, but she was being very pronounced. And I was like, that doesn't help. So then she wrote down on a piece of paper, getting laid tonight. Now, she's married. And so her and her husband at the time, so now we're going back quite a few years. I guess they were married about 15 years at the time. So when she wrote, like, getting laid tonight, and it was like 9 a.m, I was sort of like, okay, now this goes back to what I was just setting up in the last segment where people say to schedule sex, make it something. And I was sort of like, okay, well, that's kind of like weird, first of all, to do that, to schedule it, to tell a coworker or a colleague anyway about that. And then the fact, like, I just kind of felt sad for her that I was like, oh, that's sort of sad that she knows they're doing tonight because now I don't normally open up about my sex life. But for us, it kind of also just happens in certain places at certain times. Like there's no rhyme or reason. It's not that it's not scheduled. Like it's not all of a sudden on our phones. Oh, there's an alarm going. Oh, sex in an hour, because I don't know. It just feels strange to do that because for us in our relationship anyway. Now again, remember he's a hot-blooded Brazilian, so it's a different sort of internal body chemistry I think for him, but. We'll do it whether it's, at the spa, like, in the steam room, nobody around, we'll kind of, do stuff. But that's always how it's been, even just from the beginning. So if we could get away with it somewhere and it's not, we're not doing it, on the playground while, kids are in school looking through the windows, that we're not doing stuff like that. But certainly, in the privacy of, a car somewhere, like, actually, no, never in a car. Now I'm just kind of, but anyway, so my point is that it's just something where it just feels like it should happen. And so we just do it. It's not necessarily hormones. It's not this, it's not, it's just kind of like, we're just in this moment, we're just spending time together and it's lovey-dovey and it's comfortable. And sometimes it's sexy if you're in a sauna or steam room or something and there's nobody around and maybe it's a bit risky and daring. So you kind of, but that's always how it's been. And I just kind of felt like that's really strange that, and you do hear those stories of people who are married and maybe you're one of these people who's married for 10, 15, 20 years and there's no sex because again, it could be the job, the kids, no time, whatever. So I understand where you need to make it a priority, but that's also where like, that's on you though. I mean, you've got to put your relationship first in a lot of instances. Well, no, I don't want to preach. Let me take that back. I'm going to retract that. I don't need because again, you could have kids. That has to come first in some cases. So for us, we don't have kids, right? So it's a bit of a different story. For me, I would say, I would put my dogs first, I guess, just because they can't take care of themselves, whatever. Like my husband can take care of himself. So I don't, and I think that he knows that he would never come first. If there was something with the dogs, they're the priority. But you get what I'm saying, though, is, I can't go and say that the dogs are taking up too much time. I don't have time to have sex with you tonight, because that's just, you can find time. You can find time. You don't have to sleep as much then, or you don't have to, spend less time on your phone then. And maybe this is also what helps our relationship. And I think I've talked about this before. We have a no phone policy. So it's kind of like we're not sitting there watching TV and both clutching our phones and sort of listening to the TV at the same time, sort of talking to each other. Like, no, we're watching TV together. We're watching the show. That's that. The phones aren't beside us. So if you think about how much time you're spending on your phone or watching TV or procrastinating or not doing what you're supposed to, you really can find the time. I mean, sex doesn't need to be 3-4 hours. I mean, so go to bed, not sleep, but go to bed a little bit earlier, and you do your stuff, and then you go to sleep after. Like, I've never understood how people go and say that they can't find time for sex in the relationship. You can be the busiest person. I mean, I was working when I was hosting our radio shows. I was working crazy hours, 6 days a week, especially during award show season, where every other weekend I was flying back to Los Angeles, and he's a model. So then he was flying to either another country, another city, another whatever. And so sure, you might not be together physically because one's in one country, one's in the other, but we still, when we are together, whether it's traveling or whatever, I mean, you just find time to do it. And I guess maybe it's excuses then. Maybe it's, I don't know. But it's never been an issue. I've never, it's something that if there were a problem, that it would be talked about. And I think that you can sort of understand if you're really connected to your partner and you have that emotional connection, the mental connection, you can read each other. You can know if they're happy, they're not. I know a couple weeks ago on The View, they were talking about, faking orgasms and whatever. And it's like, if you're with your partner for a while, like, you can kind of, I don't know. I mean, they can be a good actor, but I always just kind of thought you would, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Remember, I'm not involved with a woman. Maybe it's an entirely different situation then. Maybe women fake it and they try to do it. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I'm not in that boat, so I can't tell you. But Valentine's, for people to, plan, you do the flowers, and we're going to make a dinner reservation. We're going to get the heart-shaped pizza, and we're going to do that on a fucking Monday night when it's just a surprise for your partner. Make them feel special that way. The shit's going to be a lot cheaper. You're not going to pay extra just because the pizza dough is in the shape of a heart. That's, I think, just stupid. And so that's why, like I said earlier, my husband's going to get it because he saved money and he didn't spend it stupidly on shit that we didn't really want or need. That's hot for me. That's hot. If he can go, and he has actually, because the day after Valentine's Day, when all of the roses and everything get marked down, he did show up with, I think it was like 4 dozen or something roses for $20. And I was like, that is my man. That's my man. He could have paid 80 something or 90 something dollars a day before, but he was like, you know what? I'm going to go first thing on the 15th. He did. He went one morning when, I don't know if it was Walmart or somewhere, and the roses were marked down. I think it was like to $5 or something for a dozen roses. And he comes back with 4, and I was like, there you go. Because here's the thing. The fact that he did this before I woke up on the 15th, right? Remember, we're talking Winnipeg winter weather in February, not warm, not that you got to warm up the car, you got to heat up the car or whatever it was that you're doing. And he went there, so he woke up early to go to the store at 7 a.m. or whatever the hell time it opened to get those flowers because he knew they were going to be cheap. And the fact that he did this before I woke up in the morning, that is a man, ladies and gentlemen. That's a man. Doing that on February 15th, you could go and say, oh my God, well, I went and got clearance and discount flowers. Hey, but you know what? He got me way more flowers than your man got you a day before. I didn't need them on the 14th. I was fine getting them on the 15th. I was fine getting them on the 16th. I don't care. So that to me is romance. That when you do stuff like that, when you're just doing it because, when you're just kind of, if I'm at the mall or when I was traveling somewhere, when we were doing our syndicated radio shows and we were doing tourism programming all the time and he didn't necessarily come. I mean, I know that there's things that he likes. I know that, or something that I think that he would like because maybe he's never seen this kind of a thing. Maybe he's from Brazil. So for him, the first time he had a donut, the first time he had eggnog at Christmas, the first time he had a lot of things was always kind of new to him. So I've always kind of thought, oh, okay, well, I'll just get him this or I'll get him that or this. Oh, he mentioned this before and here it is at the store. So I'll get it in another city and then I'll bring it back. So we just do things like that for each other. One of the things that we did just to, wrap this up. Do we have to go? I guess yeah. Okay. So one of the things I had always dreamed about was being picked up at the airport and having somebody waiting there with like flowers or something for me, because I'd never had that. So whenever this was before I got married, whenever we were doing these travel tourism programming shows, I would sometimes be traveling with my team. Sometimes I would be coming back on my own after. I was always that traveler who would like motor through the airport, and when you're coming down the escalator and the arrivals area, and you've got people waiting for you, or they're picking you up, or they haven't seen you or whatever, or they have the sign and they're welcome home. I was always the one to blow right by them. I was just kind of like, get out of my fucking way. I'm going to get out of the airport. And because I never had anybody waiting for me, I never had anybody picking me. If they were picking me up, they were waiting outside, or they were doing laps around the airport, so they didn't have to pay for parking. I didn't have anybody coming into the building and, greeting me. So I remember where he was coming to Winnipeg. He was coming home from Brazil. He was in Brazil. I was in, it was the Grammys. So I guess I was in I was in Palm Springs. We had a weird award show season that year where I had very rarely do I get a weekend off in like January, but there was a scheduling thing where we had the Grammys one weekend, and then I had a weekend off. So I went to Palm Springs for like 3 days by myself. And he was coming back from Brazil to Canada. We were basically arriving at the airport a few hours apart from each other. So it's not like he had to come and pick me up. It's not like he was waiting for me, but he had hours to kill at the airport. So I jokingly said to him, you've got time to find me flowers. I've always wanted somebody to bring me flowers, whatever, at the airport. Well, here I am psyching myself up because I've sort of put that expectation out there where it's like, he's going to give me flowers because I basically told him, give me flowers. So I land at the airport. I've got to go through customs, so it takes a bit longer. And so I go and I'm like, my man's going to be waiting for me. He's going to have flowers for me. I'm going to feel so special. I come through the doors. He's not there. And I was like, where the fuck did he? How is he not here waiting? Like, this is the thing where this is the first time I've ever had somebody in my life picking me up at the airport, waiting for me, giving me the big hug as soon as they see me. The whole bachelor twirl thing, when they greet each other, the guy twirls the girl around when they run to each other, and they're like, this is the first time I'm going to have this. Where is that motherfucker? Where did he go? And he was laying on a bench somewhere in the airport. I basically had to text him because when you almost want the person to be asking you, are you here yet? Or they're just going to be waiting for you. That they're not going to make a big to-do about it. They're just waiting because that's their role as your partner. So the fact that I had to like search the airport and I thought, is he going to ask me where I am? Is he going to be like, hey, are you here yet? Whatever. I had to text him and go, where are you? Are you at the airport? Did you leave? What happened? How did this not work? You were supposed to make me feel so special when I come to the airport. You can't see right now, but I'm like waving my hands in the air like fucking Bernie Sanders. You were supposed to be waiting for me at the airport. How are you not here, greeting me, twirling me, handing me flowers, causing a scene and making everybody go, oh, that's so sweet. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And so I guess he got bored and then he handed me 2 cookies from Subway because he was waiting and he got hungry, and so he ordered Subway. And he said, there were no flowers at the airport, so I bought you 2 cookies. I was pissed in the moment, but then later I was kind of like, well, it is kind of sweet, though, isn't it? Oh, so he'll still give me something, but I was petty like that. I was sort of like, what? So that's romance. That's the fact that we have those stories and be like, remember that time when I was fucking pissed that you didn't give me flowers? I had to text you and go, are you still here? And you gave me Subway cookies, then all was better, all was fine after that. That's the kind of relationship it is. Tell me about your relationship. Live at jbonair.com. Back on the Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here, back on The Scribble. We were just continuing our conversation while you were listening to those messages. No, my husband and I, we've never exchanged Valentine's cards. We've never done that. Bonnie Winters, by the way, our producer. I remember meeting her back when I was about 24, 25 years old. She was buying her son's Valentine's cards. Her 25-year-old son's Valentine's cards. Maybe that's a topic for another day. My name is Jeremy Bradley. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.
If you want some